And the pastors will tell you, you must pay tithe from every income, every money that comes into your hand, whether it is from your salary, your wages, whether it is from your pocket money as a student, whether it is from money as a housewife you receive for housekeeping or for shopping, whether it's a gift, whatever it is, even benefit, child benefit, housing benefit. They will tell you, you must bring to the Lord out of this money. Otherwise, you rob God. Rubbish. Rubbish. Now, we've said in previous videos that Abraham and Isaac did not pay any tithe. We've also seen that tithing was a totally Jewish law prescribed for Jews and not applicable to any other person or people who are not Jews. In today's episode, we're going to look into what actually is tithable, and we will say that tithing was never about money, was never meant to be about money. So tithing was never about money, and money was never tithable in biblical times. Now, as usual, I'm getting all my information from the Bible. So bring out your Bible and open to Deuteronomy 14, verse 22 to 27. Deuteronomy 14, 22 to 27. It says, be sure to set aside a tenth of all that your fields produce each year. Be sure to set aside a tenth of all that your fields produce each year. Your fields, your farm, your land. Leviticus 27, 30 to 32. Leviticus 27, 30 to 32 says, what was required was a tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees. All these belong to Yahweh. It is holy unto Yahweh. A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees. Open also to Leviticus 27, 32 to 33. Leviticus 27, 32 to 33. And concerning the tithe of the herd or the flock, of whatever passes under the rod, the 10th one shall be holy to Yahweh. He shall not inquire whether it is good or bad, nor shall he exchange it. So animals that feed on the land, animals that are reared on the land, a tenth of it, or a tenth of them, shall be tithable. Nehemiah 10, verse 37. Nehemiah 10, verse 37. He says, and I quote, we will bring for the Levites 1/10 of the produce from our fields, because the Levites are the ones who collect 1/10 of the produce from all our farm communities. You will see, in no place has anything not coming from farming has been mentioned. No silver, no gold, no money, even fish that come from the water, not mentioned. Matthew 23, verse 23. Now, this was a statement attributed to Jesus himself. He was saying, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give a tenth of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you neglected the more important matters of the law." Dill, mint, cumin, these are herbs, spices. They said they even tithe the smallest of the herbs. Again, produce of the land, produce of farming, not money. 1 Samuel 8:15 and 17. 1 Samuel 8:15 and 17. Now this was Prophet Samuel telling the people who have demanded that they be given a king. He was telling them, now you demand a king, this is what the king will do to you. He will take a tenth of your grain and your vintage and give it to his officials. He will take a tenth of your grain, farm produce, of your vintage wine, farm produce, and give to his officials and attendants. He will take a tenth of your flocks, animals from the land, a tenth of your flocks, and yourselves will become his slaves. It is clear, in no place did they say, bring money, bring salaries, bring income. Even fishermen were not supposed to bring. Carpenters, any person who was not working on the land wasn't supposed to pay any tithe. I will tell you the reason why the produce of the land was specifically mandated for tithing. So those who had no land and those whose lands produce nothing and those who are in non-agricultural occupations were not required to pay tithe. The only place that money or silver was accepted as tithe was in redemption as a substitute for plants and livestock, where it was not possible to bring this to Jerusalem, the place of tithe. Where the farmer was unable to bring farm produce, then they have to pay kind of penalty for that. They have to pay a fifth more. So in addition to the tenth, they have to add a fifth as punishment. Leviticus 27:31. Leviticus 27:31. A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belong to Yahweh. It is holy to the Lord. It is holy to Yahweh. A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain of the soil, from the soil, or fruit from the trees. Whoever would redeem any of their tithe must add a fifth of the value to it. If you couldn't bring the physical plant or fruits or produce, you have as penalty, if you like, add another fifth to the value to take it to Jerusalem. However, you are not giving that money to anyone, or they are not giving that money to anyone. When this farmer gets to Jerusalem, they have to use the money to buy farm produce with which to do the proper tithe. Deuteronomy 14:24-26. Deuteronomy 14:24-26. But if that place is too distant, that is the place of tithing, and that is Jerusalem, is too distant, and you've been blessed by Yahweh your God and cannot carry your tithe because the place is too far, then exchange your tithe for silver or for money, and take the silver or money with you and go to the place your Lord will choose, that is Jerusalem. Use that silver to buy whatever you like: cattle, sheep, wine, or other fermented drink, all produce of the land. Then you and your household shall eat there in the presence of Yahweh your God and rejoice. In the next video, I will explain to you that contrary to what the pastors or churches claim, the people that consume the tithe is not them, cannot be them. And to demonstrate clearly that tithing is only of the produce of the land, there is what is called break in tithing. Yeah? And this break in tithing comes every 7th year. Yeah? It was called a sabbatical year. In that 7th year, no tithe was paid of anything that was produced from the land. In this year, the 7th year, the sabbatical year, the land and the animals and all the produce of the land and the animals were supposed to rest from work, from production. So no farming. And the animals, so whatever the animals produce or whatever the land produced in that 7th year belonged to the owners of the land. They were not tithable. There was no mention of anything other than plant or land produce. That is to tell you that tithing is intrinsically linked to the land and the produce of the land. See Leviticus 25, 1-7, Leviticus 25, 1-7, and Nehemiah 10, 31. 7th year, sabbatical year, no tithe, because the produce of the land for that year belongs to the people who own it. Have you ever had any church or pastor tell you to have a break in your tithing because it's sabbatical year? Do they even observe the Sabbath? No, they don't. So why are farm produce or land produce only the things required for tithing? Why? Well, this is because of the claim that the land of Palestine was given to the Israelites by Yahweh their God as the promised land. And because they have to honor him with the produce of that land. They have to celebrate with the produce of that land. It's a commemoration, a remembrance that this God of theirs supposedly gave them this land. So they come as family, they celebrate, they rejoice, they eat, they drink, and they thank their God. That is the first reason. The second reason is that part of the tithe is supposed to be for the maintenance and upkeep excuse me, of the priestly class or the priestly clan, the Levites, who out of the so-called 12 tribes were not inheritors of any of the land in Israel, and therefore part of the produce of the land is given to them for their upkeep and then for the maintenance of people who are homeless, who are widows and strangers in the land. People who are poor had no means of sustenance from the land. These are the reasons. And therefore, Tithe wasn't payable from produce of land outside Israel. You can go and check this out. People who lived outside Israel, even Jews who lived outside Israel in diaspora, who made their farming on land outside Israel, were not required to pay tithe from that land. It was something attached to the so-called promised land. I'll give you a passage from Jewish learning website, jewishlearning.com. It says, according to the rabbis, the laws of tithing only apply to the land of Israel. Farmers outside the land have no obligation to give tithes. Farmers outside the land of Israel, outside the promised land, have no obligation to give tithe. And that is why today Jews do not observe the biblical tithe anymore. So, conclusions. Those pastors and churches claiming you must bring salaries, monetary earnings, benefits, school fees, pocket money, blah, blah, blah as tithe. Maranka Shenka Yaba. They put the tongues to confuse. They're lying. They're not observing the biblical tithe. Now, this point cannot be clearer. If you're not Jewish, you don't live in Israel, in the promised land, you have no business paying tithe to anyone, unless, of course, you want to waste your money. If you want to give to charity, give to charity. But if you think of giving to God by paying tithe, you are not. Now, if you like the video, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. Help us to grow the channel so other people will be able to see what we do and hear what we say. Please comment and share the video. Until next time, thank you and God bless. Bye-bye.